Hey guys, it's Nathan, the gay with the green thumb, here at Armful of Flowers in Mount Washington, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It is the last week in May, so I wanted to get out here and give you guys a farm tour to show you where we are at going into June. We have about 90% of the farm planted up, and we're going to work on getting the rest of it planted up this week. So we are about a month ahead of schedule than we were last year. So going into June, we're looking really good to have some early blooms and then have a wonderful succession of blooms in July and August. I'm going to go row by row and show you everything we have planted out, and then some stuff that's ready to harvest, and we'll be replacing that soon. So here we go. Okay, so we're gonna get our tour started right up here in the usual spot at the very top of our farm, where you have a nice little view down to the UPMC building. You can see it there in the very top center of the screen. A little hazy today. But the first 5 rows you see here are planted out with our annual seedlings. Past that, we have a lot of direct sown stuff, our ranunculus, and then I have more seedlings down on the bottom part, and our dahlias are in as well. So we're just gonna start right here at the top and go row by row. At the very top here, we have our zinnias. We always do them right here in the front, so they give us a beautiful show. We have a full row of zinnias, and then the second row is half of zinnias that I started inside, and then there are some zinnias I direct sowed right in the bottom half of that second row. So I'm just gonna walk down this way, go towards the center, and we're just gonna go right down the center of the farm today. So this lower section where you don't see holes in the fabric, you just see rows of walkways. That's where all the dahlias are. So we have 4 rows of dahlias in there. I have some Bee's Choice dahlias right here in a tray still I need to transplant. They will be going right along this first row. And then the next 3.5 rows are all dahlias. The 3 full rows have 40 dahlias each in there. So we have about 140 dahlias in right now. They should be popping up in the next couple of weeks. All right, we're gonna swing around and focus on the top half of the farm first. Like I said, zinnias in this first row, more zinnias in the second row. The third row here is snapdragons on the left at the top, and sunflowers on the bottom. So the bottom half is our first succession of directly sown sunflowers. Right here at the very bottom, I put a cage around my sunflower Steve sunflowers because I did not want them to be eaten by anything. Not taking any chances with those. So right here at the bottom, we have our beautiful sunflower Steve Van Gogh Fantasy Mix. So we are very excited about growing those this season. And then more sunflowers above that, and our snapdragons. Next to the snapdragons is our row of marigolds. We have 4 different colors of marigolds in there. Those will always get huge every season, and we cut on them the entire summer into fall. So those are a wonderful crop. Next to it is a whole row of cosmos. Have about 5 or 6 varieties of cosmos in there. They're putting on some size. I will come through and pinch some of these zinnias, cosmos, and some other stuff. We are not at pinching stage yet. We're almost there. But this is basically our first succession of a lot of our focal flowers. So we have more successions of most of this going as well. And we're gonna put more successions of sunflowers in too. So we have a lot of successions throughout the whole season. And then these next couple rows are all stuff that I have direct sown, as well as filled in some spots with little starts from indoors as well. This gorgeous thing right here at the bottom of this is our stalk. I will be harvesting probably all of this later tonight so we can use it this weekend in our bouquets. One beautiful succession of stalk. Above that we have some dill. These little short guys are dill. They will be getting tall very fast. We have some pink beauty. some Persian crest. This is our second succession of that stuff. So you can see they're just coming into bloom. We have some Persian crest right behind it that I'll be harvesting. It is ready. And then if you see that large mass of pink over there, that's our first succession of pink beauty. So I'll be harvesting that as well. And then this succession here will be coming in to harvest next week also. Right above these, we have a succession of larkspur. It's a little weedy right now. I need to come through and weed that for sure. But we have some nice larkspur plants in there. We'll get a nice succession of that in a couple months, a month or so. Over in the next row, we have forget-me-nots. Those are putting on some nice size. Some of them are starting to send up some bloom stalks. Here's our first succession of Persian crest. It has these really delicate white blooms and tall seed pods. So I definitely need to get out here tonight and cut this. This can be dried and also used fresh. So we'll definitely get our use out of that. Down here in front of this crest, I put in some salvia. They are pretty short right now, but they'll be putting on size and filling in. Right below that, I have a few different varieties of feverview or chamomile. So you can tell there's definitely two different varieties in there. You have the more bright chartreuse green, and then the other one's a little bit darker green with some more frilly texture on the leaves. So we'll get some nice cute chamomile blooms out of those, feverfew. The next row over, we have some violas that we are still grabbing some edible blooms off of. And then some of them did peter out, so I went in with some little calendula starts and filled up where the holes were empty, put some calendula starts in there, so we'll have more edible flowers growing in that section. Right above that, you see our columbine. It's been blooming for probably a month now. So there are some good blooms on there. Probably gonna be stopped blooming in the next couple weeks, but those were gorgeous blooms this spring, early summer. Up here we have more calendula. We are seeing some buds being set on these. We have ivory princess calendula, and let me read this tag real quick. Orange button calendula and ivory princess calendula. Next row over, some more dill plants. These are green mist, Ami, chocolate lace flower. Below that, we have some bachelor buttons that are about to bust, coming into glorious bloom. You can see these pink blooms here. And then these ones back here have a darker bloom. So I have some beautiful bachelor buttons harvesting this week and next week. And then here's this beautiful pink beauty, Saporina. These definitely need harvested today. I'll be coming back a little later this evening and harvesting once it cools off. It's way too warm right now. Below that, I have some Bells of Ireland. You can see they are putting on some size. Didn't have the best germination with those, so there are some empty holes. You also see some Nicotiana plants popping up from last year. So I'll be filling in these holes a little bit more with some other stuff, getting that section really filled in. And then the next row over is our ranunculus. We've been getting some beautiful blooms off this ranunculus already, but right now they are just coming into full glorious bloom. I will be definitely grabbing a bunch of these blooms this evening to use this weekend. I know it doesn't look like much, but this is probably the best succession of ranunculus we've had. So I'm really happy with the success we had this year with our ranunculus. In the years past, we did struggle with them. So seeing any blooms And seeing this variety of color is really encouraging, and I'm sure every year I'll just get better at growing the ranunculus. But they are beautiful. Below the ranunculus on this section is our first succession of calendula. So you can see these have been blooming for a couple weeks now. They are gorgeous. I'll definitely get a nice little harvest off of these tonight as well. One of our main goals this year was trying to lessen the gap between tulips and when all of the other stuff in the farm comes into bloom. Last year we had at least a month gap where we had no blooms coming out of the farm after the tulips were done. So this year we definitely succeeded with that. I went really heavy with the direct sowing this early spring, and I'm really glad I did that because now we have multiple successions of a lot of these gorgeous filler flowers like the cress and the pink beauty. So I'm really happy with that. We definitely succeeded on one of our goals this year. Then up here at the very top of this second to last row, we have our first succession of snapdragons. They are putting on some nice height, and this last row and a half is just the final successions of direct seeds that I put in. So we have more Persian cress, more bachelor's buttons, more forget-me-nots, more dill, more pink beauty, and then we actually have some white dill down here at the bottom. That is looking absolutely gorgeous. So full. So we are gonna have a really nice third succession of some nice filler stuff as well. Okay, I'm gonna swing around now and we're gonna go to our bottom section of the farm. One thing that I'm very happy with is the yarrow. We have not done anything to this patch at all this year, except very early on I cleaned it up a little bit, got rid of some of the dead foliage, but there are crazy amounts of buds on this yarrow. You can see some already in color. So we're gonna have a gorgeous yarrow harvest, and we'll be drying some for use this fall in different fall arrangements as well. Our delphiniums, we've already been harvesting a lot from these, and they are flushing back out. We have these gorgeous blue and white delphiniums here. Down below the delphiniums and these next couple rows are where I put a lot of more of our little plant babies that I started inside. So down here below this delphiniums, we have statice. We have never grown statice before. They were very, very small when I put them in the ground, so they still seem small, but we do see some great growth on them actually. We have a couple different colors of the statice. It's a great filler. It dries and doesn't lose its color, so we'll be having great harvest from the statice. Over in this next row, I have a whole row of amaranth, and I think I have 5 or 6 varieties of amaranth. You can see the colors changing back and forth from that dark red to the green leaves to more of the red leaves, some more green leaves, and then this up here at the top has more of like an orangish green. All of those will get massive and send out gorgeous, fluffy, either spikes or like a draping bloom. Amaranth is amazing to use as accents in your arrangements. Next row over, we have celosia. Celosia is sort of like a cousin to amaranth. It gets a fluffy appearance as well. We usually grow spike celosia, so these are lovely, spiky, ruffly type blooms that'll fill in your bouquets. Down below the celosia, we have some annual grasses. Savannah grass, bunny tail grasses, and explosion grass to be exact. So those will keep getting bigger and bigger. Everything down in this section has only been transplanted out for about 2 weeks. The first succession up there, we transplanted those out about 3 to 4 weeks ago. So these ones down here are a little bit behind, but they will catch up and this will all be taller than me in about a month or so. The next row over, we have rudbeckias, and you can see the top section of this row has some really established plants that came back from last year. There are some smaller plants that I have worked in as well. So you can see right in the middle of that row, there's like a little baby transplant. It'll fill in, and then down here on the left side of the screen, bunch of baby rudbeckias that will continue to fill in and complete that row. They'll come back year to year. And then down beyond these rudbeckias, I'm growing something for the first time this year called linaria or linaria. Not sure how you pronounce it. But it has these really colorful little spike blooms, almost like little baby snapdragon-esque looking blooms. But I assume they're just gonna keep getting taller and fill in. Be a nice filler also. The next row over is an entire row of straw flowers. We have about 3 to 4 varieties, different colors of straw flowers: purple, red, silver, orange, blush. So that whole row there will be our lovely straw flowers. The next row over has nothing in it yet besides some weeds, but this is where we're going to be successing our sunflowers. So we'll have multiple successions of sunflowers going in this row. Going to be doing probably about half of the row today. Everything you see up here in the top of this row is just weeds right now. Probably amaranth from last year, to be honest. The next row over, right before the dahlias, we have a few different annual crops. At the very top, we have asters. They are quite small, but to about here up is asters. Below it is basil. We have 4 or 5 varieties of basil: cinnamon basil, lemon basil, and then below that we have scabiosa. Scabiosa is a lovely filler. They also dry really well. And then below the scabiosa, we have salvia. So I showed you some salvia plants up above. That would be our second succession. This here would be our first succession of salvia. These plants have a little bit more size on them. They've already been pinched and they are branching out. You can see they have a really unique kind of fuzzy type leaf. Don't know if it's reading in the camera, but salvia is really cool. It's a really good filler as well. This section down below, we haven't had anything put in here yet, but this is all 12-inch spacing that we are going to be filling in with sunflowers and probably just keeping some of it empty for successions as well. Not fully set on what we're going to be doing down there this year, but I did want to show you, I pulled the fabric down a little bit further to my left this year. As you can see down there, there's a section that's dug up but not covered with the fabric. This section down here never really grew anything that well. Everything in this section dried out. I don't know if it's because it's not really below the farm like the rest of this section, but this land right here did not do well any year I've grown here yet. So what I did was I pulled these 2 rows more down this way. I tilled up the land a little bit further down this way and pulled these 2 rows that way. So we'll see if that helps this year. Nothing is in here yet, but like I said, we'll be getting sunflowers in here. We'll have glorious giant sunflower blooms down here. Our dahlia patch does not look like much right now. Just empty dirt with some weeds popping up. We do have 3 or 4 dahlias that I must have missed when I dug the dahlias up last year, but they survived and are coming along. One right here. Two right there. This one here is nice sized already. And then we have another one right here. I have no idea what those are, what variety they are anyway. I know they're dahlias. But the rest of the dahlias I just put in on Friday. So today is Tuesday. They've only been in for about 3 to 4 days. So we'll give them a couple more weeks and we should start seeing dahlias pop up. Last year we didn't get our dahlias in till the end of June, so they are in an entire month earlier this year, as well as a lot of the farm. Last year I go back and look at pictures and videos from years past. I like to document a lot of stuff for that purpose so I can reference what we did in years past. And this is definitely the earliest we have had the farm planted out. We had really nice warm weather right around the beginning of May, so we were able to just start planting stuff out. Last year I didn't even get to the bottom of the section of the farm until after the midway through June. So having this bottom section already planted out is really encouraging. I did want to show you at the top of the farm we have more seedlings started. So we start them inside, but since the weather has been so nice for over a month now, they've just been outside. Don't mind my mess, but these here are some extra seedlings of stuff I've already put in. So I'll either be planting those out or I'll be potting them up and trying to see if anyone wants to buy them. And then these ones here that you see are second and third successions of things. So we have more scabiosa, more forget-me-nots, more cosmos, more status, celosia. We do have some gomphrena. We don't have any of that planted out yet because those are very small still. We've had some germination issues with our gomphrena this year. Here we have more rudbeckia. We have more snapdragons, 3 more trays of zinnias. And then over in this tray, we have more snapdragon. So as I continue to harvest some of the filler items that I direct sowed earlier this year, like the pink beauty and cress and that kind of stuff, once I'm ripping this stuff out, the seedlings behind me that I just showed you will be going in, and we're just gonna keep this entire farm filled up all season long. One of our big goals this year was closing the gap, like I said, between tulips and annual blooms. But another goal of ours was to continue to have harvest throughout the season. So we have 3 to 2 successions of a lot of stuff. Things like sunflowers, we're gonna have up to 8 or 9 successions of sunflowers. So we're harvesting them all the way into October. Zinnias, we're gonna start another succession of those as well. Yeah, so we're just gonna keep rolling all summer long and keep this little lot filled up. I just wanna thank you guys so much for listening to me ramble on about my flower farm. Might not be exciting to everyone as it is exciting to me, but I just love it. I want to encourage everyone to come check out the farm in person. Please just walk right back through the parking lot and come stand up here at the top of the farm and take a minute for yourself and just enjoy the beauty. It's going to be exploding with color in the next couple of months, so it's cool to take a look at it now so you can compare what it looks like when the flowers are as tall as me. All right, guys, that was it. So thank you so much for watching our May farm tour. We will keep giving you updates throughout the rest of this season. Make sure you follow me, the Gay with the Green Thumb, on all forms of social media, as well as Armful of Flowers, so you can keep up to date on what we're doing here in Mount Washington. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.